So hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a late autumn um, posting by the time it all comes out, although I'm starting it around mid-September and it will go into October, I should think, something like that. But anyway, and it's also going to be rather an unusual posting in the sense that although this is a scratch building channel, things that I make out of junk and bits and pieces and other things. I'm not going to be doing a scratch building this time round. Technically speaking, I'm going to be doing a kitbash, and I'll show you what that's going to be. So yes, it is the new 18-inch long Millennium Falcon from MPC and Round 2, and this is a retooling of the original Millennium Falcon model that came out in the 1980s, which I'm sure most of you got hold of it when you were that young. I certainly did. And of course, this is the new retooling because it's got improved details on the sidewalls and in other areas. Now, up until now, if you wanted to get a good model of the Millennium Falcon, and I have to admit that I'm a bit of an obsessive when it comes to the Millennium Falcon. As you know, I've got two other Millennium Falcon conversions that you've seen so far. If you wanted to get a really nicely detailed one, you had to spend loads and loads of money buying a Bandai kit or a fine molds kit. But this one comes close in that it's fairly affordable, reasonably affordable in this day and age. But it's quite detailed, and it's got a lot of detail, and it's got a lot of detail that you can sort of use as a springboard to work on. So let's have a look at it. I don't usually do an unboxing, but I thought in this case I'd just show you what's inside it in case you haven't seen already. Right, so I've turned off one of the lights so you get an idea of the detailing on it. As you can see, it's quite sharp. Um, it's not as sharp as the Bandai, but one's not expecting that to be. But it is a reasonable sharpness on it. It's got quite a lot of detail. And of course, the thing that sells it for most people is the new tooling, which I'll just show you. The new tooling around the sidewalls in particular, these ones here, is very well done. Just let it pop it up there for a minute and you can have a look. It's almost on a par with the Bandai's kits. It's nicely sharp, nicely picked out, and yeah, these sidewalls are also obviously thinner than the original ones, so that the Millennium Falcon, when it's particularly built, will be in proportion. And again, on these sidewalls here, nicely detailed and picked out. But there is, to me, a little bit of a disappointment in that you're still getting detailing which is, well, it doesn't got much depth to it. It has quite a lot of texture, but there's not a lot of depth, and I like the idea that, you know, when you look at the machine, it's got depth into it, and this one doesn't really pick up the depth. Also, and like the sidewalls here on this side, it's got some blank areas here and here. Now I can do things with that. I can have a look at that. And the biggest disappointment for me in this kit is the back engine vent and the engine vents and the area around here. Now, I don't think that's particularly well defined at all. In fact, we know, for instance, that that area here, which was originally the back of some Tiger tanks on the studio scale model, have just been reduced to circles and lines. There's no real definition produced at all on these ones. So that leaves, and I'm surprised really, because when you look at the detailing up here, it's far more detailed, someone's put a lot more effort into it. Down here, hardly any effort at all, which is a bit surprising. It does let it down, but there are many people out there who have bought this kit and have kitbashed, putting other greebles onto it, and that's what I intend to do with this particular model. So it's going to be, and you've got a lot of areas here that you can kitbash along here using reference materials. This is not going to be a studio accurate model. It's going to be my interpretation. And as you know, I did the big Millennium Falcon, and I kitbashed that to hell. And I'm going to do the same here, putting my interpretation of the parts that should be on it. And that will also include not just the back here, but also looking at the sidewalls here and seeing what I can do to improve it. And I'll give you an example. So I've started to collect loads of greebles and kitbash parts in this box here, and then there's another box over here, or behind here actually. All the greebles that you see there, that's going to be used as well. Got lots of kit parts there, plus some more parts over here in that box over there. So I'm going to be using lots of different greebles, and I'm going to be tarting this up, so to speak, making it better. To give you an example, say for instance I've got this bit here, which is the chassis from a Jeep or a truck. Now by placing it over, I'm not saying I'm going to do this particularly like that, but I'm just giving you an idea of what the results could be. By placing it over, and it does actually fit very nicely into the area there, it gives it more detail, added depth, added texture. So that's the kind of thing I'm going to be looking at, not just on the sidewalls and not just in the bigger area here, but also in the inserts as well. Where are we? Hang on a second and I'll show you. All these inserts can be kitbashed as well, with more detail put into them. And we're going to work up a new Millennium Falcon using the these parts as a springboard. So I hope you come with me on this journey, and we're going to assemble it. I've just looked at the kit parts. I think I've got everything, all the parts that I actually need. The assembly itself is fairly straightforward, no real surprises or anything like that. And anything that I don't have that might have been lost, I can construct myself. That's not a real problem. I think I've got everything here. So yeah. So what I intend to do is I will not do the final assembly. I shall do this in sections. So I would take, for instance, the back of the model, which is where are we? It's underneath, of course. It would have to be. Right. I'm going to take the back of the model first of all, and start working on the back area, greebling that up so that I'm satisfied before I assemble the whole thing. And we'll look at but I'll make sure everything fits, of course. And yeah, and we're going to slowly work through it. And we'll see how far we get. But I think for the first time we're going to be able to produce a decent model from a fairly decent springboard of a model, and we'll see how far we get. So let's go on the journey together. So the journey begins, and as you can see, what I've been doing is adding the greebles. And let's spin it around a bit, get a bit of idea. So there's the greebles. Obviously we're going to build up around this area here and around this area here. What I'm having to do is to grind down the existing areas which are really bland. So grind that down to a flat surface and then put the greebles on the top of it. Now, yes, I know this is not going to be screen accurate. Of course it isn't. It's my version of the Millennium Falcon, and I'm giving it a backstory that this is the Millennium Falcon later in life, in the sense that it's passed through many different hands after Ray Skywalker used it. So that's why some of this has been covered up. One of the engine vents has been converted into something else. I'm still going to have the engine vents, and I'm going to put my trademark cassette tape capstans on them, which will give it more of a vent fill to it. So yes, we're getting there. So I'm going to build up along here, build up along there. These areas here with the already existing detailing, that can stay really, because I think the detailing there is not bad at all. You know, just adjust the light, you can see the detailing there is quite fine, it's quite good. I'll be putting more detailing into the inserts as well when we get to them. But as I say, this is what it looks like at the moment, and we'll be building out along here as well, I think, a little bit. Anyway, you'll see as we progress, but that's looking a lot more detailed, a lot more interesting. I'll be adding pipe work and stuff like that as well. So we'll take our time, but this, I think, is going to be an interesting kit bash, and let's continue. And so there we are, that's the greebling on the top done. I could do a little bit more, probably will put a few more little pipe works in, but yeah, that's how we've ended up with an afternoon of greebling. Basically, all I've done is I have taken lots of little kit parts and I've kit bashed the top of it. I've had to grind down the existing detailing on it, which you have to be bold. And I did it in sections. I didn't grind down everything all at once, because obviously if I'd done that and couldn't find the bits to go onto it, I'd have been stuck. So I did it in sections, doing finding the greeble first of all, seeing if it would fit in that area, and then grinding down the sections to so they did fit. I've kept some of the underlying detail, because I think it just, you know, it just fits in, it fills in the detail there. And of course, once it's all primed and everything else, then the whole thing will match in quite nicely. But yeah, that's it. That's at that moment. So we have the greebling all completed on this particular model at the top, and now we're going to go on into to have a look at the inserts. So coming along, it's looking okay. Much better than it did before, of course. And yes, I know I've lost an engine. I've lost an engine valve, but vent or whatever. But I think on the whole, that works. And the other thing was that I've been able to keep it all at a low level, so that it still retains the curvature of the hull, as you can see. There might be a little bit of filler to do, but more or less the curvature of the hull remains there, and at that particular level as well. So I haven't lost the height, which is good. Right, onward and upward. Let's continue. So coming to the end of the first day, so to speak, because it's the weekend. I'm going to continue it tomorrow, but we have now completed the top section. So as I said, we've greebled the back section, and I've started putting some greebles into the inserts, as you can see. Not a lot. We don't want to overdo it. This is subtlety. I've done a little bit of greebling in the front section here, but the little inserts here, but you won't notice them too much, because as I say, these are quite good as they stand. But I might put some cabling into them, some extra cabling going into them from perhaps these areas here, these sections here. But yeah, on the whole, that's done. You don't want to overdo it. You want to be subtle. You want to retain the original feel of the model and not overdo it too much. That's why I'm keeping it small, I'm keeping it compact, I'm keeping it in scale if I can. But anyway, that's the first bit done, which is looking okay. We'll continue tomorrow. And now some of you might be thinking, oh my goodness, he should paint them. He should paint the inserts first of all. No. I'm going to paint the whole thing together, and because I don't want to have, because what a lot of people do with their models, I've noticed it, and I don't like it, is they fill up these inserts with very dark colours, and basically they look like holes. Well, you don't have holes like that. You don't have things filled with darkness and soot. You have subtlety, and you have change and variation in colour, and that's what I'm going to do. That's why I'm going to paint it as a base color first of all, then pick out the details, perhaps darker, perhaps rust or whatever, inside the inserts as we go along. All right, that's my idea. We'll see how it works. Okay, onward and upward, let's continue. Okay, slow going this afternoon, but I did manage to get this fabrication done, which is obviously, as you can see, the underside of the Millennium Falcon towards the back. I've married up these two bits there, which will be the same as those pieces on there. He says, looking at the box. So that's okay. Yeah, so I've actually been working on this back bit here, giving it a lot more detail and putting in some wiring and so on and so forth. It's slow going, as I say, because I had to find all the pieces for it. But yeah, that's looking okay. Bit of filler in there. Obviously, it'll all come together when it is primed. Yeah, that's what I've done today. Plus also some other little bits on the front. I'll just show you. Just working up bits along the front here, putting in some wiring and some cabling down into the inserts at the front here, and also finding some little pieces to run along the ridge from the cockpit. Whoops, when I do that, it goes out of focus. But you can see what I mean there. So yeah, so that's the business today. It's slow work, but you know, I'm taking my time, as I always do, because I want it to be correct. So the next bits will be to put in the inserts into the bottom bits along here, and then see how I can fill those up, which will be the next stage. Okay, let's continue. So that's the bottom part of the hull done as regards to the inserts. Now I haven't started putting extra pieces into those inserts yet. That one might have to do, I might put some in. The other ones I think are okay as they stand. That one certainly is quite complicated, so that's not too bad. And then moving on back to the main hull inserts. Again, I'll probably take some cabling and put some cabling into those ones, because I think they could do with some cabling coming in from the top. But other than that, the detailing is really nice. So I don't want to do too much, because otherwise I'll make it too complicated. But yeah, but those inserts are in now, which is good. And as I say, the back has been redone and rejigged with some more cabling at the back there, which is looking interesting and busy. Right, okay, well, let's continue, and we'll start looking at the side pieces, I think, next. So I've done some sub-assemblies, beginning with the cockpit. The cockpit's rather bland, in the sense that it hasn't got much detail in it. I suppose it's not meant to have too much detail in it. You could light it from behind, but I'm not going to put lighting into it. I'm going to basically paint it and then build it up with some more greebles, and I'm going to try and put a console, a forward-facing console in the. I'm going to scratch build a console to go in the front, so that it looks like the two figures, Han Solo and Chewbacca, are actually flying the thing from with using a console at the front. So yeah, so because it doesn't come with a console, it just comes as it is. But anyway, that's the cockpit done. I've also sub-assembled the landing legs, and the idea, because the thing can actually be displayed with or without the landing legs, and you can actually take the landing legs out, they can be plugged in and then they can be taken away and you can actually close the landing bay doors. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the I'm going to greeble up the inside so that if you look at it from underneath, it would look like it's a landing bay door. It's an actual, the landing legs are actually in some kind of bay with greebles in it to make it look a bit more busier. And I've done the same with the main hatch, the ramp. Now it goes up into the falcon, and somewhere around here, hang on a second, according to the instructions, you can build up the walls of the landing bay of the ramp, and then there's a clear piece here if you wanted to light it. So my idea is to then greeble up the side walls to make it look as if it's some kind of corridor, and I might, if I've got the room inside of the vehicle, inside of the Falcon, and I think I might have, looking at the actual bay itself, I might be able to build up some kind of back corridor as well. We'll see what it looks like if I can do that. Right, so we're moving on, and that's as far as I'm getting at the moment. We'll continue. Oh, and I've also been able to put the mandible pieces in there, so I've done that as well on both the bottom and the top. Slowly working around. I'm thinking that I'm going to probably put the assemble it with the side walls, and then greeble the side walls separately when they're actually in situ, so that I don't do greeble the side walls and then find that I can't fit them properly onto the Falcon. But yeah, that's what I'll probably do. Anyway, let's continue. Goodness, that was tedious, putting the masking fluid on the gun turret inserts. I mean, this is what annoys me about some of these model kits. Do they deliberately make it difficult for you to assemble them? I mean, I had to make sure that I didn't get the masking fluid on the ribs of the gun turret. I don't think I have. If I have, I suppose I can scrape it off. But here's the thing: why did they design it like that? And then the main turret, for instance, over here, is designed so that you can put the transparent windows straight in without having to worry about putting masking fluid on it, because obviously I'll paint this first and then I'll put the transparency in afterwards, so I don't have the same problem here. Here I've got to put masking fluid onto the ribs, onto the transparency, then spray it, and hopefully I won't have any overspill. I don't know, sometimes it would have been easier just to have had the ribs done in plastic, and then you put the transparency in as a window afterwards. Anyway, it's done now, so hopefully I'll let it dry and then I can spray it, and then that's another bit of sub-assembly done. Right, it's been a bit of a mixed morning today. I have been able to put on some more stuff onto the Falcon, primarily the gun turrets and so on. But I would be lying to you if I said that I didn't have a good morning, because I've had a terrible morning really with the fabrication, and that's to do with the legs, putting the landing legs in. That's why I don't like doing models, prefabricated models, because well, I'm not going to lie to you, I couldn't get it to fix. I couldn't get them to fit properly. They kept on flapping about and they wouldn't stay shut. They kept on opening. So I couldn't put these, I couldn't connect these properly. And so in the end, I've decided I'm going to display it with the legs shut in the flight position rather than with the legs down, and to give myself the option of putting them into a landing position, because to be perfectly honest, I've got a life and I don't want to continue wasting time trying to sort this out. I've had a terrible morning. It's really been awful, and it just illustrates to me why I do scratch building. rather than doing pre-existing models, because I don't think some, if you're going to buy a Bandai, if you're going to buy a fine molds, you probably get a much better engineering, and well, certainly for a Bandai, the Bandai fits, as we all know, you can fit the Bandai without using any glue at all, and they fit beautifully, and you can do them in all kinds of different positions. But this particular model, done by MPC, badly engineered, and it's evidenced by it's badly engineered because, as I said, we've gone through the top part here, which I've had to completely redo, because it was so bland, and it was poorly engineered, and I would say that the landing legs has been poorly engineered too, because I just couldn't fit them in. I just tried and tried and tried. Believe me, I did, and I don't give up easily. But in the end, I did give up. So I don't obviously not going to throw away the model itself. I'm going to continue with the model and create it, but I'm going to do it in the flight position. But I've added some more greebles to it to make it look more interesting, and I hope that I can salvage the model kit in the end, with the painting and so on and so forth. I mean, it looks okay as it is. It's as it is, but it's not a Bandai. It's not a Bandai, and there you are. That's the end. That's the end of it. All right. Well, we're going to continue, and we're going to see how far we can get, and that will be my lesson for the day. All right. Well, we're going to start putting in the side walls, and then trying to fit the whole thing together, and then we'll see what it looks like. So the side walls are in, but just to show you an example, or I meant about being a badly engineered model. Look at the warp on that. Look how that's warped. It's going to need a lot of clamping together, so I can get that to clamp and make it straight. But the warp on that is awful. But anyway, I have fitted it as best I can. Another example of bad engineering is the back here. It didn't come with any diffuser unit at the back, so I can't so this thing is totally transparent. Also, it's supposed to be engineered, better engineered, so that we've got better detailing. Well, we've got nice ribs on this side of the structure to show you the engine. Nice ribs on that side, but it's smooth on this side, which means that if you paint it, all you're going to get is a flat background. If you didn't want to light it, you just get a flat background. The ribs are on the other side. What's the point of that? Anyway, I'm beefing him. I'm really griping about this model now. I'm really going to town on it, but I'm going to continue working on it because I want to get it finished. So yeah, I mean, yes, some of the detailing looks good. I can still salvage this. I'm going to greeble it up. I'm going to just go to town on the greebles. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to greeble it up like nobody's business, and I'm going to get a decent model out of it, one way or the other. But I don't know. It's taking its toll on my morale at the moment. Anyway, onward and upward. Let's continue. Okay, well, after a lot of struggling, I did get the bottom half and the top half married together, and I was able to get rid of the warping, and it is beginning to look better. I think I can salvage the disaster. It's not going to be one of my best models, no, definitely not, but it's salvageable, even if I can't get the legs on. But I haven't given up on the legs, the idea of putting a landing gear on it, because even though I have had to glue up the landing gear bay doors, I think I can still think about putting magnets onto it, and yeah, I think I can do something with magnets and kitbash something together. So I haven't given up. So yeah, we're still in the game. I think I'm still in the game. Anyway, but yeah, it's looking all right. It's looking better than it was, which is good. And it's all come together a bit better than I thought it was going to do. So it's Still a long way to go. Still a long way to go, but I'm getting some ideas. I'm getting some ideas of how I can salvage this build and getting it back together again. It's certainly, as I say, it was a struggle to clamp it all together, but I did clamp it all together, and with use of super glue in various different places, it does fit. It does fit. So now I'm going to start looking at the idea of really greebling up the side panels a lot better than they did, and I'm going to have to work on the engines as well, and getting the engines to look a bit better than that, because I don't like that that blueness. I want it to look better than that. Right. Well, anyway, we will continue. We will continue, and we will get there. I know we will get there. I have faith in myself. Right, onward and upward. Let's continue. So that's all the sidewalls on, and the fabrication of the general structure is more or less complete. Obviously, I haven't put on the cockpit yet because I want to paint the inside. I'll just show you. The cockpit's all ready to be painted, and the console will be fabricated, and that will then slip underneath. It fits actually quite well, and then the viewing cockpit, the windows will go on there. Right. Well, now you've heard about snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, haven't you? So I have been thinking long and hard about the undercarriage and how it just wasn't working. Well, I'm going to do it this way. Okay, what I have done, if I turn it over, as you can start to see, is I have found some very thin slithers of metal, which once painted and weathered will actually blend in quite nicely with the undercarriage as it is. So in flight it looks like they're meant to be there in the first place. There and there and up there. And then what I've found are these little magnets. They were from a those things that you sort of put on doors to keep the doors shut. So they fit very nicely on here, and they stay in place. So that's the basis for the undercarriage. And then what I'm going to do is build up a fake undercarriage using these bits. So if you can imagine, with the magnet on them, they'll go there. Then my legs will go into them, slot into them. There are we. There you go. They'll slot into them, and I will then build up around the sides of this fake to make it look as if the undercarriage doors are opened and you're looking inside the undercarriage to this interior, if you see what I mean. And you will see what I mean, because I'll do it and then you can see it. So I'm going to build this up as the and I've got basically two of these, and then I've got to find something which is a slightly smaller, which is going to fit on the top there. Okay. Now the obvious thing I've got to figure out is that if I just plonk the legs straight there, they're going to be too big. Ideally, they start inside the falcon and then drop down. So I've got to get the distance, the actual distance that they would have been penetrating inside the falcon, then cut off the legs at the right base, stick them down onto the bases that I've got, so that they will look as if they are dropping down from inside. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's what I've got to measure. I've got to measure the distance that they would have dropped down. But I think that should be okay. I think I can more or less work it out. I think it's probably about that size where my thumb is. I think it's probably about that distance. But I'm going to have a look at some reference pictures to see where exactly that might be. So all is not lost. All is not lost. I think I can save and salvage this project. Of course, I haven't even started working on the walls yet, the side walls, and that's going to be the next bit. And then we've got the that horrible blue engine thing, which I've got to do something with, and I haven't even found the piece for that yet. So we're a long way from the finishing line, but I'm a little bit happier than I was a day or two ago when I thought I'd really screwed this model up. I don't think I've screwed it up yet. I think there's still more life in the old bird yet. Right, onward and upward, let's continue. So I went to my local DIY shop and I picked up these electrical connectors, and I have used them for my engine cowlings. There you go. And I think that works very nicely indeed. I just had to cut them down slightly to reshape them, but I think that works very well for the engines. So that's the engine sorted out. It makes it look a lot more interesting than the bland bit of plastic that I had before. But the main thing I've been working on this afternoon have been the legs. So let me show you the legs. So there you are. These are the legs, and as you see, I faked them so it looks like they're coming down from the hangar from the landing bay leg door. So you've got the landing. You've got the landing legs and the hatches there, and they have magnets on the bottom. That's the forward facing leg. So I'm going to put them onto the Millennium Falcon, and you'll see what they look like in situ. So there they are in situ on the Falcon itself, and I think that will work. Now what I'll do is I'll flip it over, and then you can see what they look like standing up. But yeah, I'm happy with that. It makes it look as if they are coming down from inside the Falcon itself. Let me show you. There they are underneath, and I think that works really nicely. And so I can have the Falcon in flight, and also shown as landed on the floor. Now I know there's a slight gap between the Falcon model and the legs, which I can disguise with some more little bits of plastic, so it makes it look as if they're joined together. But I'm happy with that. That actually works really nicely. So I've got the Falcon on legs, which is what I wanted. So, oh my goodness, we're getting there. It's coming together. It's coming together. So getting to the end of another weekend, and I am slowly wrestling this project back from the brink, as I think. So we'll just go around, and as you can see, what I've been doing is I have been greebling up the sides. I'll just try and get a bit of light on that, so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, greebling the sides around the model. I'll turn it around as much as I can. There you go, and along there. I've tried not to hide too much of the underlying tooling that was already there, but I think I've actually increased the detailing along there and along the sides. We'll turn it around so you can see the other side. There's the other side. Obviously it'll pop more when there's some more primer put onto it, but that's the other side as well. Don't look in too badly. It's really sort of with the fact that the height has been reduced, looks far more in profile now. Looks far more better in the as an actual from the studio model's point of view. There's the back there, and moving on to the front. And I've also ground down the landing bay doors because they were standing out, they were too proud. So I've actually ground them down a bit more, and they'll look better from that point of view. So there we are. So yes, we are getting better. We are getting on top of this model. Slowly but surely we're getting on top of it. It's taking time, but you know, as I keep saying, there's no time limit on these things. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the detailing on these areas here, which is all flat. There's no detailing on it at all, so I've got to add some panel lines and some detailing on that and the other side as well. And then we're going to look underneath as well to see what we can do underneath. I also might add some wiring dropping down. Whoops, going out of focus again. Some wiring dropping down from the legs to give it some more kind of cabling coming down from the legs as well. So, you know, from a model that isn't a Bandai, we are producing something, I hope you'll agree with me, something of more detail and more quality than one would normally expect from this kind of model of this price range. Anyway, there we are. So we will continue and see how far we get. The other thing I want to do is have a look at the cockpit. We've got to put a console onto the cockpit and then put our two pilots, Han Solo and Chewbacca, into the cockpit, and then we'll have a look at the back as well. Whether we how we deal with the back. Right. Well, we continue. Might not be this weekend. It might be continuing into the following weekend. But you know, this is going to take time. But hopefully, we'll come out with something which is interesting to look at. Onward and upward. I've just applied a bit of primer just to see what I'm looking at, and I think you'll agree it's beginning to come together quite nicely. But we have a long way to go. The journey isn't over yet, and we've still got masses of things to do. But yes, the Millennium Falcon will fly again. Okay, let's continue. So that's the cockpit fabricated. I've taken some old fighter jet parts and put them at the back to simulate the back wall, and I have changed the figures up. They are not Han Solo and Chewbacca. They are two other figures, seated figures that I found, not non-specific, just generic figures, because I think that this Millennium Falcon, this latest iteration of the Millennium Falcon, is piloted by two other characters, not necessarily Han Solo or Chewbacca, but they fit very nicely. They're the same scale and they'll fit nicely. Now the console at the front, have a guess where I got that from. You might guess from the shape. That's right. It's a very small Star Destroyer, Rebel Star Destroyer snap kit, and it's not a particularly great kit, but I was able to utilize the conning tower to make an interesting console, which I think works very well. Actually, it works extremely well indeed. So yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint it up so that it's drying while I continue with the rest of the build. But anyway, that's the that's the cockpit kind of finalized. I think I'm going to leave it at that, because when the cockpit's installed and the windows and the so on are put into it, you can't really see too much detail with inside it. We know it's there, but it's kind of a little bit darker than it would be. I'm going to see if I can lighten it up with a few highlights and a few whites and stuff like that, but I think you won't see too much. Right, let's continue. Let's get on with it. So there's the cockpit painted roughly. I might dirty it up a little bit more, but I'm going to go with those colours. Um, it's a rough paint because you're not going to see too much when it's actually inserted into the thing itself. I'll show you. I'll make it a bit better than that, and I'll show you what I mean. So you see when it's actually inserted in like that, uh, half of it is kind of in darkness. Now I suppose you could have lit the back, but as I say, I'm not going to light the back. I don't have the skills for lighting. Perhaps one day I'll get round to it. But anyway, that's what it looks like at the moment, which is not too bad. I think it's going to show up. Right, onward and upward. So more fabrication on the bottom side, as you can see, taking shape now and becoming a little more industrial, a bit more grungy. And I have also starting putting fabrication on the top bit here, the top side of the underside. Basically, I'm breaking up the inserts. I'm getting rid of straight lines and putting in more texture onto the bottom side there. I don't like straight lines or things that look really sort of the curves are too sharp. I want to break them up a bit. So yeah, so this is just to add more interest, more detail to those areas there. Remembering, of course, that this is the Millennium Falcon in later life. So obviously, as it went through life, more bits were added, more bits taken away. So yeah, so that's the bottom side looking better, and we'll continue. I'll probably do the same with the top, and but that was a pleasant couple of hours doing that. Right, onward and upward. Let's continue. Okay, so it's Sunday morning, and this is going to have to be my last weekend of construction. I haven't got around to the painting yet, but that's going to happen. But anyway, I finished the fabrication of the top half now. I really think I just need to close it up now, put the cockpit in, which I'm going to do in a second, and you'll see that. I've added a few more details to the mandibles. I'll let the eagle-eyed viewer try and spot what I've done there. I'm not going to tell you. Have a look. And I've done a little bit more greebling around, but not too much because I don't want to do too much more now. I might, but I don't think I'm going to. And then I'll show you what I've done at the bottom. I've continued fabrication of the bottom part, and I have put some primer onto the to this area here as well, so that you can see it's all come together. I might put a bit more cabling in, but that's come together quite nicely. Yeah, so I'm practically there. I'm going to put the I think I'm going to put the canopy on now, and then it'll just be tidying up, adding little bits and pieces as I see fit. But I think we're almost there now. So looking there, I'll just bring the light over a bit more so you can have a look. So yeah, when this is painted with all the kind of grease and the guns and everything else, I think this is going to look quite good. It just adds more detail and more contrast and more interest to the parts, but I think that works quite well. And similarly at the back as well, that's really come together now. Quite happy. I might just put a few more little. I must try and break up this these structures here, give it a little bit more detail, a little bit more interest around the edges. That might be yeah, I think I might just do that just to finish off. But I think we're kind of there. There's the mandibles at the front part as well. I think we're there now. I think we're there now. Right, we'll continue for a little bit longer. Okay, so in spite of all the trials and tribulations, I have completed the fabrication of the Millennium Falcon, and I'm going to call it finished there. So all I need to do now is to do the painting, but we'll do a quick walk around and you can see how I've been doing. So that's the top done on that side. Yeah, it's been a bit of a headache. and I still maintain that doing prefabricated models is a bit of a pain, but I think I've been able to utilize the Millennium Falcon model as it came in the box, and by adding greebles and bits and pieces, I've been able to create a half decent model from it. You'll notice, as I said before, if we come to the cockpit, although we can see into the cockpit, you can't see too much, but we know we can see basically that there are figures, characters in there. Of course, when it's painted properly, it'll really pop. Let's turn it around. It works quite nicely with the legs. There's the legs there, down there. Which works, and I think I've got the distance with the legs on the floor quite nicely. I suppose the only thing that I regret is not being able to get the cargo bay door open, but well, we can't have everything, and I'm going to quit while I'm ahead, so to speak. Let's continue walking around. That's the other side. I mean, there might be the opportunity to do something with the docking hatches. They're looking a little bit now underwhelmed, and since I've beefed up all the sides, I might need to go back onto the docking hatches, see what I can find to yeah, to create some kind of more interesting fabrication there. But that's not looking too bad, really. Coming around the back, the all the back. I started with the idea of redeveloping the engine part at the back with the engine vents, and I think I have now completely redeveloped that totally horrible bland area, and made a fairly good stab at increasing the detail and the texture there, which is good. Bring it underneath. You can see the underneath areas there. They are popping as well. I'll just go around a bit more, and you can see that as well. So there's the underneath, and that looks very nice. I think that pops nicely. Around there and around there. I'll show you the complete underneath in a minute. I'll flip the whole thing over, and you can see from underneath as well, and the other side as well. Coming around this to the front again. So yeah, I've painted it. I've given it a lightish grey primer. I don't know. I can still think I can do something with this area here, because that's looking very again. Well, it's completely underdeveloped. It's just a blank screen. So I don't know. That looks like I could do something with it as well. But I want to get some paint on it, I think, as well, to see where I am. I pick it up, you can see it in flight. Hang on, I'll get you a better view than that. That looks horrible. Just a minute. Let's try that one. There you go. Now you can see what I've done by putting it into flight. So that's the undercarriage, which of course you wouldn't see naturally if it was on the ground, but if I put it onto a stand and try and get the undercarriage looking the underneath, so you can spot the underneath. I enjoyed doing the underneath, even though, as I say, sometimes you might not see it totally, but there you are. That's the underneath fabricated. Okay, so put that down there. So the next thing now will be the painting, but I think from a model point of view, getting as close as I could to what the studio model looked like, I don't think I've done a bad job, if I say so myself. It kind of works, but of course the proof will be in the painting, so that will be the next thing to do, will be the painting. But there you are. That's the Millennium Falcon, all fabricated, and it has come together. It has come together, and yeah, I don't think I've lost too much. Right, on with the painting. That will be the final painting, and then the final reveal, I suppose.